So this question says, on a car trip, Rhett and Jessica each drove for part of the trip, and the total distance they drove was under 220 miles. So I'm going to say R for Rhett plus J for Jessica was less than 220. And of course, this R and J has to do with the miles that Rhett drove and the miles that Jessica drove. Rhett drove at an average speed of 35 miles per hour, and Jessica drove at an average speed of 40 miles per hour. So I'm going to say 35 times R. That will give me how far Rhett drove, right? 35 miles per hour and R miles for Rhett plus 40 times J, right? 40 miles per hour times J miles for Jessica. Let's see if we know anything more about this. Which of the following inequalities represents this situation where R is the number of hours Rhett drove and J is the number of hours Jessica drove? Okay, number of hours. So R is not the number of miles. R is the number of hours. So if 35, so I'm going to look at this from a unit standpoint. So my 35 is in miles per hour. If I multiply that, so maybe this actually still works out. If I multiply that by R hours, then the H's will cross out, and I would get a number of miles. So this would be R in miles, basically. Okay, so I think I had everything written down correctly. I was just explaining it slightly off by calling these miles. These are actually hours. So then this is what doesn't work from my translation. This is true, and that would give me a number of miles, and it's that should be under my 220. Okay, because again, 35 miles per hour for R hours tells me how many miles Rhett drove, and 40 miles per hour times J hours would tell me how many miles Jessica drove. But we know the combination of those two miles has to be less than the 220 miles that they drove all together. So the answer, therefore, looks like it's going to be choice B.